record.
We're on record. Okay, the meeting of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills Planning Board for Monday, July 10th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. Announcement is made that adequate notice of this meeting has been given and that it is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 et sec of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. If we could do the roll call, please.
Mayor Barbario.
Here.
Councilman DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Mealy.
Here.
Mr. Matt.
Present.
Mr. Napolitano.
Here.
Chairman Dinsmore.
Here.
We also have with us our board planner, Ms. Winter, our board engineer, Mr. Canjiano, and our board attorney, Ms. Steinley.
If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Switch it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this meeting is open to the public, to the general public. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to this board on something that is not on tonight's agenda? Hearing and seeing none, we shall move on to the resolutions. We have one resolution tonight, 23:510. The major soil moving permit. Do I have somebody willing to move this resolution? Do we have?
Resolution to approve application number 23:510, Alpha Investments LLC, 52 Navajo Avenue, Block 525, Lot 21, major soil moving permit.
Do I have a second?
Second, Matt.
All right. Nora, would you call the roll, please?
DePiero.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Napolitano.
Yes?
Dinsmore.
Yes.
Chairman, we also have a resolution from the minor meeting. It's 23:509.
Okay. Do we have enough,
We have two regular people here, two regular members. All you need, I believe, is one, correct?
Well, yeah, so Mr. Meth and Mr. Manny can motion, second, and vote.
Mr. Chairman, if you will, I'll do that resolution.
very good, sir?
A motion to approve resolution for application 23:509, Rupin Shah, 58 Mayetta Road, Block 271, Lot 10, a two-lot minor subdivision.
Second, Matt.
If you call the roll, please.
Mealy.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
All right.
Approved.
We do what we have to do. All right, then, we move on to our other piece of business here. We've got the minor meeting that we have to conduct. Now, because of summertime being summer, we have the minor subcommittee was not able to meet, but we are able to meet in lieu of the minor subcommittee. So, did you include the material in our papers, or?
I don't have a copy of this material.
Okay, I have a few others. I did not realize that, like, the entire group was going to participate, so.
What is this?
This is, application number 23:513, J&J Farms Creamery, 100 Jefferson Road, Block 737, Lot 5, Zone SED 5A, minor site plan for docks, rooftop refrigeration units, sign and parking.
Well, I have this. I just don't have what this guy's gonna represent.
Yes, that's what.
No.
That's this one.
Here, you don't mind. Good evening, everybody.
Yes,
Stephen Tombalakian from Wiener Law Group on behalf of the applicant J&J Farms Creamery. Thank you for hearing us this evening.
very good.
Now, to familiarize, to get the board located, the building we're talking about here, which is up on that easel, which our engineer will go through in a few moments, is 100 Jefferson, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the largest single building in Parsippany. It's enormous. And what our client, J&J Farms Creamery, they were initially seeking to lease the then vacant 200,000 square foot warehouse portion of it, but they loved the property so much they bought it. They bought the whole thing. So, but they are going to be using the 200,000 square foot existing warehouse, but repurposing it and converting it to cold storage. So tonight you're going to hear about the building improvements, which are, it's going to be a penthouse for equipment, which is going to be built on top of the warehouse to house the refrigeration units, to make sure they're all inside and quiet. And then there's going to be some moderate changes to the loading docks and various ancillary site improvements, and Matthew, our engineer, is going to go through those changes. And we're also repaneling the sign to show the new tenant to join the existing other two tenants. We'll talk about that as well. So without further ado, I'd like to swear in my first witness, Matthew Bursch, a principal of Dynamic Engineering.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name, spell your last name, and provide the board with background on your qualifications.
Absolutely. Matthew Bursch, B-E-R-S-C-H. I'm with Dynamic Engineering, 1904 Main Street, Lake Como, New Jersey. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering from Rutgers University. I'm a principal at Dynamic Engineering. I have over 11 years of experience in the field of land development, and I've been accepted by numerous planning and zoning boards throughout the state.
All right, before we move on here, I'm going to ask our planner if we need any waivers or any, I know this is supposedly a minor.
We still need waivers. So there are a number of waivers associated with the fact that it's an existing building and site, and most of the work is interior. To go through them, from the minor site plans, it is number 11 for the contours, 12 for spot elevations, 18 for existing and proposed utility services, 19 existing and proposed storm drainage, 20 existing and proposed site illumination, 21 landscaping plan, and also 27 the temporary contractors construction storage areas, 28 traffic study, 29 the environmental assessment report, and 30 tree protection and removal plans. Our office doesn't object to any of those waivers based on the proposed project.
All right. Do I have a motion approving the waivers as outlined in the report from our planner dated, what was the date on that? 5/9/23?
June 12th.
June 12th, sorry.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Mealy.
a motion to approve the waivers as noted by our planner.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none. All right.
Great, thank you
Your
very
case,
much.
sir.
Thank you very much, Chairman. So we do have Ms. Winter's June 12th planning report. We also have Mr. Canjiano's June 2nd report. So after Mr. Bursch kind of gives the board an overview of the site, the surroundings, and generally what we're proposing to do on the outside of the building, we will run through and provide the testimony that was asked for by Mr. Canjiano and Ms. Winters, as outlined in their letters. But without further ado, Matthew, if you want to go up to the board and orient the board to what we're proposing tonight.
Absolutely. I'll try to touch on the board professionals' review letters as much as possible, just in direct testimony, but whatever I miss, we can hit after. So the exhibit that's before you is the aerial map. This was part of the submission package. It is sheet 2 from the site plan set dated 4/4/2023, and it was prepared by my office. So the subject property is located directly in the center of the page. It's outlined in yellow. For orientation purposes, north is to the top. The subject property is known as Block 737, Lot 5. The address is 100 Jefferson Road. Jefferson Road runs north to south on the right side of the property here. Subject property is located in the SED 5A zone. That's a specialized economic development zone. And as mentioned by the project attorney, there is an existing warehouse on site today. You can see the warehouse roof is really the whiter color within the yellow property boundary. The overall square footage is just under 540,000 square feet. The subject property is located, it's on Jefferson Road. There's two driveways leading out to Jefferson Road. Those are both full movement driveways. There's also three alternate driveways that are provided via cross-access to lot 3.1 and 4.1, which are to the east and north of the property. One of those driveways leads out to Pomeroy Road that runs parallel to 287. So our project is really situated on the east side of this warehouse building. It occupies approximately 200,000 square feet of the existing building, as well as the loading dock space. The other two tenants will remain within the building. So with that said, after that introduction to the subject property, I'm now going to present our site plan. Again, this is sheet 5 from a site plan package that was included in the submission. This was dated 4/4/2023 and prepared by my office. So as you can see, the site plan is really kind of zoomed into the specific area of the site where there are some minor improvements being made. Orientation, north is to the top of the page again. So the proposed improvements really revolve around the loading dock area and are situated within the loading dock area only. In current conditions, there's a number of loading bays, and right now the truck's back into the building, and there's an interior elevated finished floor. So the loading and unloading operation is within the building. As part of the new tenant plan, they'd like to bring that finished floor out to the exterior facade, so there could be a little bit more of a standard loading and unloading operation with the truck staging outside of the building rather than inside. So since the trucks will be staging outside of the building, there are some modifications on the loading dock area. We will be restriping. We will be providing a concrete strip for the trailer landing gear. It's not shown on the plans, but we will agree to add that. There's also a modification to the island, just on the south side of the loading dock area. Right now, there's a sidewalk that runs on the north side of that island. However, in order to provide the standard 130-foot loading dock space, 60 feet for the actual trailer storage area, and another 70 feet for maneuvering, that island has been shifted back. So the sidewalk that's in that island now is essentially going to become asphalt with curb. That sidewalk in existing conditions doesn't really serve a purpose. It leads to kind of an open general area that's really just asphalt, and we really don't want to promote pedestrian or employee traffic in this loading dock area, so we feel that it's suitable to remove that sidewalk. As mentioned by our attorney, there's an existing sign that's located at the southern driveway along Jefferson Road. The sign is there today. The only thing we're going to be doing is adding a panel that fits within the existing panels that are on that sign to say J&J Farm Creamery. There's no change to the number of parking stalls, no change to the number of loading docks, no change to any of the zoning criteria, impervious coverage, setbacks, that all remains as is. There's no new variances being created or existing nonconformances that are exacerbated. Just to touch on some operational characteristics, we anticipate adding a compactor in one of these loading dock bays that will be used for obviously trash collection. And then there will be a private local hauler that comes relatively regularly as needed to remove the trash from the site. To continue on with some operations, it's anticipated that there will be 125 employees. 25 of those will be office employees, with another 100 in the warehouse. The warehouse employees will operate on 3 separate shifts. It still totals 100 employees with 3 separate shifts. The office hours will be 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. The warehouse hours will be 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. The number of trucks that are anticipated to be unloading at this site are 30 per day between the hours of 4 a.m. and 2 p.m. And the number of trucks that are going to be loaded at this facility is approximately 40, and that will occur between 5 p.m. and 3 a.m. So I believe I touched on all of the site changes, zoning criteria, and really a summary of the operations. So in summary, the proposed improvements exterior to the building are relatively minor. Don't really change the nature of the use or the character of the surrounding area.
Mr. Bursch, a couple questions, just to cover some of the questions asked by Mr. Canjiano and Ms. Winter. Would the applicant stipulate that a property survey will be submitted that indicates the total number of loading bays and parking spaces?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any changes to the water service or sewer service to this building?
No.
So the services will remain as constructed?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Dietz, the architect, is going to be talking about the height, but for purposes of the construction that's proposed to implement these changes, will there be any need for a construction trailer or any on-site staging that might impact parking or traffic?
We don't anticipate it. If the chosen contractor does feel the need to have a trailer on site, a trailer or a staging plan can be provided as a condition of approval prior to construction.
With that, I believe we covered all the testimony that was requested by the board's professionals. Mr. Bursch is happy to answer any questions the board has before Mr. Dietz comes up.
Are there members of the board that have questions of this testimony at this time? Mr. Meth?
Just one. It relates to that sidewalk that's being taken away. If I notice on your plan, it looks like a walkway to the adjoining property. What's the status of that? Is that why there was a sidewalk here in the first place?
I guess it was from when the building was first built or a previous tenant. There's really no interaction between the users in this lot and the warehouse tenant. So there really isn't a need for the cross-access. It's there, that there's a set of steps and a sidewalk that is there, but it's not really used to my understanding.
Okay, are there easements that go with it? I think there's a note about that on your plan, right?
There is a reciprocal access easement between the properties, but it's my understanding that the walkway is not used.
Gordon, it could be when everything was owned by Pfizer, way back.
That's kind of what I was assuming, which is probably why the sidewalk was there, right? Because the one piece of sidewalk out in the middle of nowhere, just near that walkway, seemed to make some sense. And just out of curiosity, did you run templates? Could you actually make the trucks work with the sidewalk, or do you have to take it out?
There is a corner of the island over here that does restrict some of the circulation paths of the truck.
Okay.
And the 130 feet is relatively standard. They are going to be WB67 trucks, so really the largest truck that operates within New Jersey. So the tenant would prefer to have that full 70 feet of circulation area.
Understood, thank you.
Any other members of the board have questions in this testimony? Our planner raised her hand.
I've got one. The loading berths currently are in the building, they're not exterior, the loading spaces?
Correct. There are exterior doors, roll-up doors, but it's my understanding the trucks actually pull into the building to load and unload.
Okay, so it appears that you will actually need a variance for the loading space size, based on the largest truck that will be used, the length needs to be double that. So I believe you said it was
It's a WB67 truck.
so be 100 and, twice that, 134?
Yeah,
Yeah.
approximately.
Okay, so in the.
It's actually larger than that.
It's a
That's the
little-
That's just
67 is the
the-
wheelbase,
that's
so
the
there's
wheelbase?
actually
Okay.
more on the end.
So it would be more than that.
It could be a little bit more.
And the proposed spaces are 60 feet?
Yes.
Okay, so you would just need a variance for that condition.
Understood.
Actually, Christine, is that a variance or a design waiver?
I believe I'll double check, but I believe it's under the variances.
Oh, it's in zone.
Mr. Canjiano, did you have a?
Just, I wanted to understand your parking count, that you had stated, the number of employees, the uses, I think it was like 202 spaces required. Is that for the whole building or just the 200 square feet?
That is.
200,000 square feet, rather.
That is for the entire building.
Okay. And then there's 481 spaces
Correct.
on site. Is that correct?
481 existing, whereas 202 are required.
And it doesn't have anything to do with the spaces with the cross access easement?
No, it's this subject property only.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
So there was no notice provided for
Yeah,
the minor.
We're gonna have to kind of do a workaround on that one,
Okay.
because since this was a minor,
Yeah.
with no variances, just
Yeah.
maybe some waivers. So how can we work around, what is the maximum size truck that would fit what the land we have available? And maybe we would just stipulate that our trucks will, and then we'd have to come back to change that.
It'd be a 30-foot truck.
Yeah, it should be a WB50 to fit within a 60-foot.
Okay. Because the reason is, since this is a minor site plan, it's not the full-blown hearing, we can't ask the board to grant us variances. So we're just gonna have to live with what we can accommodate.
Actually, it looks like you just have an island there. You couldn't cut more island and make the space bigger?
It was only noticed for minor.
Right, which means, yeah. And I guess the other thing is, the wheelbase 67 implies a sleeper cabin on the truck. If you don't use sleeper cabins, it's like a wheelbase 63. So it's slightly smaller.
Yeah. Well, the only thing we can stipulate is that we can only accommodate the trucks that we can accommodate. And if we could remove more of that island to provide the additional length, then great. But we can't ask for a variance
Okay,
this
so,
evening.
as I'm reading the, requirements, length of loading berth shall be the horizontal distance from the front of the dock for back-end parking to the limiting boundary of the loading and loading area shall be not less than twice the overall length of the longest vehicle.
So Matthew, based on that standard, is there any modifications, without asking you to redesign the site on the fly, is there any modifications you could do to that island to provide additional length?
Yeah, absolutely. The island can be adjusted. We would have to modify some of the site lighting. There is an electrical box within the island, but I think we can make it work
Right.
in order to provide an adequate loading space.
Right. So we would proffer that, to the extent the board is amenable to approving this minor site plan, we would work with Mr. Canjiano's office, our engineer would, to revise the site plan to make sure that we comply with Parsippany's ordinance.
That's fine with me.
Mr. Canjiano, do you have any?
No, that makes sense.
All right, are there any members of the boards have any?
I have a question, I'm sorry. I was trying to understand. So, J&J Creamery is not in this building yet,
Nope.
but the other two companies are there right now.
Yeah, they've been.
VitaQuest and,
PNY and,
VitaQuest.
VitaQuest.
Those number of trucks you have coming in and out of there, that's the increase you're gonna put on that building, in that area? Or that's just gonna be what the total is now with all three companies?
No, that is for the J&J Creamery farms only.
Wow, so you're adding, it's like 40-something in the morning, you said? What was it again?
It's 40 loading, 30 unloading.
Wow.
Per day.
Any other members of the board? Hearing and seeing none. Are there any members of the public who have questions of this witness and this testimony at this time? Hearing and seeing none. Counselor?
Thank you. I'd ask Chuck Dietz to come on up and take a copy of his plan and show us what magic he's proposing for this building tonight. Now, Chuck Dietz should be familiar to this board, but Charles Dietz of the Dietz Partnership, President.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, please state your name, spell your last name, and provide some background to the board about your qualifications.
Charles P. Dietz, Managing Member of the Dietz Partnership LLC, 90 East Halsey Road, Parsippany, New Jersey. I'm a licensed professional architect for the past 34 years. I hold 14 licenses around the country. I've been before this board numerous times, as well as doing many other projects within the town since 1987.
Any questions by members of the board on his qualifications?
Thank you very much. Mr. Dietz, now you proposed a penthouse addition to the roof?
Yeah, if I could just quickly, the three drawings that are part of my architectural set, my sheet A1, these three drawings were in your packet. Just an enlarged view of what the interior of the warehouse of 200,000 square feet will look like. As you can see, this gray post shade area, this is the current elevated loading dock. And this gray area is where we're going to fill it in with concrete. So the trucks can no longer pull into the building. They'll sit out front at the loading doors and load like a traditional warehouse loading dock. My second sheet is my sheet A2. Shows the elevation. Basically, this facade right now is a painted black brick. All these doors sit flush with the grade, which allows the trucks to currently drive in the building. What we're proposing, once we pull this up to the normal dock height of 48 inches, the doors will now be elevated. We'll have dock seals and bumpers and dock levelers, and basically fill in all the voids that we have there and have the trucks back up against this. We'll match anywhere we have to fill in as best as we can. We're going to have painted brick and other things, but basically the facade and the aesthetics of this will look the same. My second elevation is the side elevation. We basically generated that. This is what basically is paralleling Jefferson Road. The engineers designed 7 penthouse refrigeration units, and the defined penthouse means it's a package unit within a box, so you won't see any of the mechanical equipment. There's other units like that on the building for the other tenant spaces, and this just roughly shows you where they're going to go. They're going to sit on 2 feet of dunnage, and with that 2 feet, they're going to move upwards of 9'6" above the roof. But again, as a package unit, you won't see any of the guts or any of the equipment. And knowing, working with the civil engineer and the other professionals, we looked at the surrounding areas for neighborhoods, which are across the street behind a series of other warehouse buildings. We don't think there's going to be any visibility issues, the residential neighbors. The other 2 tenants actually already have penthouse and larger equipment than even what we're proposing, which will remain for the other 2 tenants. And then as per your professional's request, after our initial submission, they asked us to provide a roof plan locating those penthouses. So as you can see, there's 3, and then there's 1 straggler over here in the warehouse area. One of the reasons they really need to move the warehouse to an outside condition is when you're bringing this type of product in a refrigerated situation, the loading area actually becomes a refrigerated area as well. So it doesn't work when you have to bring all the trucks in and have the doors open. You'd lose all your cooling capacity. So basically, the refrigeration goes to the entire 200,000 square feet other than the office area that's existing that we'll reuse. The loading dock will be equivalent in refrigeration. We can create a seal at these doors, and they can bring the proper merchandise. And this isn't freezer, this is refrigeration only for the dairy. That's my testimony.
Thank you, Chuck. I have no further questions, Mr. Dietz.
Members of the board have any questions on this testimony? Or professionals have any questions? All right, then I have no questions. Are there any members of the public who have any questions of this testimony? Hearing and seeing none. Counselor?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you again to the board for hearing us this evening. I don't know how I can stress this applicant is very eager to move to Parsippany. And we've been working hard these last couple months to how to make it happen. And we are, of course, going to work with Mr. Cangiano's office to make sure that we conform 100% to Parsippany's code and do it the right way. And I know that's going to happen because I believe this applicant really wants to relocate by the end of the year.
So your applicant is willing to work completely with our township professionals
100%.
On making it so that it fits our laws.
120%. Absolutely. So that's all I have. I mean, we do have a representative of the applicant, or the consultant for the applicant here this evening to answer any questions regarding who J&J is and what they do. But they've been around for decades. They're a known commodity, and they're eager to relocate to Parsippany.
Is there anybody in the board who have any questions about this
Eager to have you.
Thank you, Mayor.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
All right, seeing nobody needs any further education on the applicant, are there any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application? In favor of this application? Hearing and seeing none, this closes the evidentiary portion of tonight's application hearing. Does anybody want to say anything, or do we want to go straight to a resolution? I have somebody willing to make the motion approving this application?
Yeah. Sure, just gotta find the note. Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of application number 23:513, J&J Farms Creamery Road, or Creamery Inc., 100 Jefferson Road, Block 737, Lot 5, Zone SED 5A. Minor site plan for docks, rooftop refrigeration units, sign and parking, subject to the elimination of a potential variance on the loading dock by modifying the island.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Nora, would you call the roll, please?
Barbario.
Yes.
Piero.
Yes.
Neely.
Yes.
Neff.
Yes.
Napolitano.
Yes.
Dinsmore.
Yes,
We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you. Enjoy Parsippany.
Thank you.
All right, so now we can move on. Now, for our other business, we're moving on to the regular agenda for the planning board, and that is area in need of redevelopment for 6 Sylvan Way, Block 202, Lot 1.9. We've got a report and a presentation by our planner.
Yes, it's my turn. So, as the planning board requested that our office do a preliminary investigation to determine whether 6 Sylvan Way is an area in need of redevelopment. Our office has visited the site, done the research, which is compiled into this report. Give you a little background. The existing site is about 18.64 acres. It is currently occupied with a commercial office building, a Class B office building, and associated parking, and it also houses the local Little League on the rear of the property. The existing conditions, it's in the RL zone, the research office and laboratory. There's an existing 3-story building, approximately 212,000 square feet. It was completed back in 1981. It's been occupied by Avis Budget Group for 27 years. And they've decided to leave that building. Their lease expired in March, and they're currently there under a short-term extension until the end of October. At that point, the office will be vacated. The owners have attempted to secure a new tenant and have been unable to. So the existing building is 40-plus years old. It has the original systems. These have all been detailed within the report. There are several essential repairs that are needed to bring it up to current standards or even to Class B standards. These include things like repairing the exterior curtain walls, modernizing elevators, new roof, new boilers, chillers, storm drainage improvements to the parking lot, fire panels, new refrigeration in the kitchen. Additionally, asbestos-containing materials were still used in construction through 1978, so an investigation for such materials would also be needed. If you look at the report on page 17, it starts with some pictures of the existing site, notes on some of the rust and peeling paint. We also have evidence of potential vermin, points of entry, which can cause all kinds of health issues and further deteriorate systems, sometimes keep you on electric and start fires. So represents a threat to the health and safety of the residents, the employees, anyone within the building. Also potential evidence of mold, which causes further health concerns. A full investigation would be needed to determine to the extent of that. In addition, as we know, Parsippany has a lot of vacant office space currently. As part of this report, a report by Cushman and Wakefield on the, make sure I say this right, the opinion of value of this property. They indicated that there is currently about 5 million square feet of vacant office space in the town. In order to bring this building up to standards to compete with that additional office space would require significant investment. So that's the existing conditions here. As we know, post-COVID, the demand for these types of office spaces has declined. So there are a number of factors into why this office is being, or the current tenants are downsizing, and there's been difficulty in getting a new tenant. So as far as the criteria required to declare an area in need of redevelopment, there's 8. A property only needs to meet one of them to qualify. This property meets 4. These criteria are criterion A, which indicates that the generality of the buildings is substandard, unsafe, unsanitary, dilapidated, or obsolescent, as the existing conditions show. Criteria B, when there's a discontinuance of the use of the building, which this building will no longer have a tenant come the fall. Criteria D, which also is a dilapidated, obsolescent building with faulty arrangement and design and obsolete layout, resulting in vacancy and loss of jobs and no public benefit. And then the final criteria is criteria H, which is related to being designated an area consistent with smart growth and planning principles. This is in the site area is located in the state planning metropolitan area, which is designated to provide for much of the state's future redevelopment. So, based on the findings of this report, we recommend that this area be deemed, it qualifies under these 4 criteria, and we recommend that it be declared an area in need. And it would be recommended that the planning board make that recommendation to the township council.
Okay. Okay, are there any questions of this planning report? I thought it was well done and fairly thorough there, very thorough. Anybody have any questions on the report or on what we're supposed to accomplish here tonight?
I just have a question about the location. I know behind this, I guess you say it's north, are the Parsippany-Troy West Little League fields. Will they be hindered, damaged? Will there be any more drainage problems that has been there for years? And is anything that could be affected by anything? We don't know that yet.
We won't know that.
Okay.
This is just kind of an existing conditions report. So assuming that it goes through, the next step would be to develop a plan for this area. And that would give an opportunity to rectify some of those drainage issues.
Thank you.
Yeah, with a little luck, it'll make it better.
Yeah.
Some sort of drainage would definitely help.
Yep.
I think it's just the wetlands.
Any other questions or comments on this report at this time? Mr. Inglesino, do you wish to say anything? I assume that you are representing the client.
I am, Mr. Chairman, but I don't have any comment. I think that Christine did a terrific job. explaining the existing conditions and emphasizing those conditions that would lead to a declaration of the area.
Okay, Mr. DiPiero, you are on the council. Is there anything that you might have to say about what you heard for this?
No, I agree with the recommendation.
All right. All right, do we need, yeah, all right. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this, on this, finding at this time? Hearing and seeing none, either for or against? No? Hearing and seeing none, there is nobody from the public who wishes to come and speak before us. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments?
No, drinks on me over there.
Exactly. So, I guess that we would then go to a motion. Is there somebody willing to make a motion that we agree to find that we should propose this as a non-condemnation preliminary redevelopment? How do you call this? What's the exact phrasing we should be using here?
A non-condemnation.
Yeah, non-condemnation. We find that this is a non-condemnation redevelopment area in need of redevelopment. You gotta write it out for me so I can read it, so I don't have to create anything. Do I have a motion to the?
If it may, it's a recommendation, that the area be declared, a non-condemnation area in need of redevelopment. It's the governing body that would actually make the declaration. This is just a recommendation based on the plan report.
Absolutely, you are correct. And, so, do I have a recommendation?
Yes, I will. I'll make that.
Mr. Napolitano?
Motion for recommendation to the town council to find this area at 6 Sylvan Way, Block 202, Lot 1.9 is a non-condemnation preliminary redevelopment investigation. .com.
It said a non-condemnation area needed.
Non-condemnation area in area need of redevelopment.
Yep.
Second, Neely.
All right, Nora, would you call the roll, please?
Barbario.
Yes.
DiPiero.
Yes.
Neely.
Yes.
Neff.
Yes.
Napolitano.
Yes.
Dinsmore.
Yes. And the result is the recommendation to the council that we have found that this is an area in need of redevelopment.
I get to vote on it twice.
Is there anything else that needs to come before the board? Nora, do we have anything?
Not this evening.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Get to stay here. So ordered. Thank you very much.
Thank you.